appearances are so important in Korea that it's everything within some of these people's lifestyles. Everywhere in Korea, you'll see very good looking people, clean faces, very well dressed, just looking the best they could possibly be for everyday life. This aspect of culture, I do believe, carries over into Korea as a whole. As I've noticed many times, Korea wants its nation to look the best that it can be to the rest of the world. And it's pretty obvious too. If you've ever watched K-pop, the videos are always super HD, they're very colorful, and the artists are very, very good looking people. So there are pros and cons to this culture, and sometimes I feel like there are more cons than pros, but that's another topic for another day. But essentially, it's to the point where even at my middle school, I noticed one time during a fire drill we had, everyone was trying to evacuate the building, and there were two girls in front of the mirror doing their makeup while everyone was trying to get away from a potential fire. And this isn't just a rare exception. Every day there are girls with their mirrors on their desk checking their makeup, making sure their faces are clean as possible. It's the culture, and that's just the physical aspect of it. On the social aspect of it, you have everyone clamoring to get the latest, the newest cars, the newest phone, the most expensive watch, anything that makes them look better in the eyes of society, more wealthy, more powerful in a sense. And it's incredible to look at, honestly. That's pretty much it on appearance culture. I could talk for quite a while about that, but I don't want to take up too much of this video, so let's get on to the main topic. Hello. For this video, I wanted to do my top 5 games of 2018 so far. I've gotten some requests to do reviews of games that have already been out for a while now, and I thought the best thing I could do was just condense it into a top 5 list of the games I've enjoyed the most so far and what I think about them. So let's get started. The first game I want to talk about on this list is Monster Hunter. I'm going in order here based on the time that I played them, mind you, not ranking order, because Monster Hunter would probably be near the top if that were the case. I've been playing Monster Hunter since the first one came out, and the third one was really revolutionary for me and a group of my friends. I played hundreds and hundreds of hours in the third one, and I played, and I think I still have my save file, it says about 700 hours in 4U on the 3DS. There's something just about the loop of gameplay that it has. To hunt monsters, kill it, carve it up for its parts, take the parts back to village, and create new weapons and armor, and then start over with a new monster and hope to get their armor as well. It's such a fun game with so much depth. You can put hundreds and hundreds of hours into just using one weapon, and if you were to switch over to a new weapon, that weapon has so much depth that you could play for hundreds of hours and still not know everything about that weapon. So Monster Hunter has a lot of depth. It's a load of fun. If you love grinding, if you love RPG mechanics and anything like that, it's a fantastic game. And World just takes it in a whole new direction. They simplified a lot of the annoying things that the old ones had, stuff that would turn people away just looking at Monster Hunter, and it just improved on everything that made the series so good. So I cannot recommend this game enough. Next on my list is Celeste. Now, Celeste was a really big surprise to me. This indie title was such an emotional and telling story about a young girl trying to climb a mountain, but the mountain is both a metaphor and a literal embodiment that she is trying to overcome. She is a character with depression and anxiety, and it is exemplified and symbolized in this game in such a well done manner. It really left an impression on me. Not a lot of games try to deal with mental illness, but this one depicts it in such a way that it's, even though some of the elements of the game are fantastic, it's a realistic and telling way of showing how depression and anxiety can be sometimes, what it's like to doubt yourself, what it's like to think that you're not a good person or that certain things are your fault when it's really not in your control. The gameplay otherwise was also fantastic. It's a platformer, 2D platformer that is very challenging but also forgiving at the same time. A lot of people said it was hard. I didn't struggle too much, honestly, but I can see in certain parts where it can be very frustrating, and especially the end game. Once you finish it, it becomes a real challenge, even for some of the more hardcore platformer fans like me. So I cannot recommend this game enough. If you love platformers, if you love good storytelling, if you just want relatable characters, Celeste is a fantastic game. The next game on my list is A Way Out. This game, I had a little bit of trouble deciding whether I wanted to put it or Detroit Become Human on this list, but I ended up going up with this game just because the story actually made me feel something and the gameplay is much more involved. This is a story about two guys who were both placed in prison because they were both framed by the same guy. When they meet up and realize they both have the same interests, they decide to work together to escape prison and find this man and basically give him what's due. It is a co-op puzzle adventure game that requires two people to play, so I ended up playing this game with one of my best friends over several nights. As I said, the gameplay is a co-op adventure puzzler, in the sense that you have to work together in order to progress. A lot of games will boast having co-op, but not really have cooperative gameplay. Like a lot of shooters, for example, will have co-op, but the only time you're really helping your friend is when they go down and you need to help them get back up so they can keep fighting. This game requires you to work together in order to make any progress whatsoever. Doing tasks such as one person lifting something heavy while the other person gets whatever was behind that heavy object out of there, or sneaking around and one person distracts the people trying to find you while the other person moves again while the person's distracted, or it can just be as simple as rowing a boat down a river. I mean, it's even the simple stuff like that. They make you cooperate in such a way that you're really involved and you're really communicating with the person next to you, or far away from you if you're playing online. But overall, it was a fantastic interactive experience. I do recommend, if you have any close friends or someone special that you want to play this with, it is a fantastic co-op experience, and I couldn't recommend it anymore. Ni no Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom is next on my list. This was a game that many people recommended to me. They said it was a game that I would enjoy, and it's funny because I never gave the first Ni no Kuni the time of day, because I didn't even really know it existed. Funnily enough, the art and the graphics are inspired by Studio Ghibli movies such as Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, and Howl's Moving Castle. I at one point did a marathon of Miyazaki movies and watched, I think, about 19 of them, almost all of them, and it's just surprising that I never even really played this game, because not only is it a Studio Ghibli inspired tale, but it's also an action RPG, and it had so many deep RPG mechanics. It's the type of game that screams me, essentially. The game starts off with Roland, the president of his country, on his way to a summit meeting with other world leaders. Before he even gets there, though, the whole thing gets nuked. Even though he survives, he is transported to another world. Here, it's more fantastical and whimsical than the real world. He meets Evan, the young, soon-to-be king of Ding Dong Dell. They don't get much of an introduction, though, before the Chancellor and his people decide it's time to throw a coup. They're out to kill Evan and take the throne. Roland decides to protect Evan and help him escape the castle, and once they do, Evan decides it's time to build a new kingdom, one that will be the greatest that the whole world has ever seen. Ni no Kuni 2 is a whimsical, cutesy tale of a young boy and a former leader trying to rebuild this kingdom. There's a lot of themes of forgiveness and loss throughout the story that might tug on the heartstrings if you've ever had a feud with or lost someone who you really cared about. There are plenty of things to do in this game: fighting monsters, upgrading equipment, recruiting new citizens, and just building up your kingdom so you can do even more of these things. My only gripe with this game was that the lack of challenge throughout the whole main story made a lot of mechanics unnecessary. I mean, there were ways that I could have made my characters so much stronger than they were, but I just didn't ever do it. It just seemed so unnecessary. The story, while very charming, can also be very unrealistic even in its fantasy setting, and it's probably just from me being too mature and wanting a more mature storyline from certain games, but this one is very much a child's tale. But even though those are my gripes, the game does present a lot more challenge if you do stick around after you beat it. The end game is very challenging and gives me plenty of reason to go back to it. I'm currently trying to rush through this video as I want to go back and play this game some more. Boy! Let me preface this by saying I've never played a God of War before this. I only knew of Kratos and that he killed all the Greek gods because they tricked him into killing his family. So I only have knowledge that Kratos is a very violent and angry man. So going into this game, I had no expectations for what to expect, just that Kratos moved on from Greek mythology into the Norse world of mythology, and I couldn't be happier that I started with this game. The game starts with Kratos and his son Atreus cremating their now deceased wife/mother. The goal of this whole game is to bury her ashes, as is her last will, at the top of the highest mountain of all the realms. But it doesn't go as smoothly as you would think, of course. The game focuses on the relationship between Kratos and his son. Kratos seemingly wasn't a father who was present during the time that the mother was alive, and at the same time he's dealing with that guilt. He's also dealing with the guilt of knowing that in his previous world he caused the apocalypse and killed everyone, a fact that his son doesn't know and that he doesn't want him to know. I'd rather you play the game so you can understand how well the relationship between the two is built and how strong this story is. But going to the combat, it starts off very bare bones at first, but as you go through the game, it gets better and better and better until it's one of the more satisfying games to play in this generation. And I have to give kudos to the exploration in this game. A lot of games will have the option to explore the world around you, but won't offer much reward to entice you. And I usually, when I play games, I'm not really tempted to explore too much. I might go off the beaten path every now and then and only come back after I finish the game. But this game, I was searching every nook and cranny I could possibly find before advancing the story, because this game actually entices you in such a well done way. You find unique items that you won't get anywhere else, and you find unique skills and whatnot, stuff that can't be found unless you do the exploration. So I cannot give this game enough credit for having such well done open world exploration. All in all, if it weren't for Monster Hunter, this would probably be my game of the year. But we still have many more games to come, so we'll see what happens. I'm very excited for the sequel that comes out of this game. This game created a whole world, and there are so many elements of it that weren't even used, that were teased throughout the entire story. So I'm looking forward to that, and I cannot wait. So that's it for this video. Let me know what you think of my top 5. Do you agree, or is there something that you would change? For my next video, I'm thinking of doing a cooking episode to show a recipe that my girlfriend taught me. It's a really nice and simple recipe. Let me know what you think. Comment down below if you have any other topics you want to see from me. And that's it. Have a good one. Ciao, guys.